What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome in if you're new. In this video, we'll be discussing PulseChain in the eye of the storm, meaning we're close. We're close to the time when our bonding curve actually starts ramping up. So if you like this kind of coverage on PulseChain in the midst of the storm, leave a thumbs up or thumbs down. Be subscribed by the end of the video if you aren't by now. And let's talk a little bit about a few things. Like, we made this entire page on lookintohex.com/PLS. And keep in mind that the timer is actually synced perfectly now with the one on PulseChain.com, which, again, a new update. This timer tells you how much time until the rate increases 5%. So basically, it's telling you how many hours until we get to this point in the curve when price actually, or not price, but the rate, right? The rate of dollar per 10,000 sacrifice points starts increasing. And we've done a lot of math on this curve specifically. Some of that math being including the volume curve and looking at your cost basis. So as a little guy with a volume multiplier of 1, you are best off if in stable coins, right, sacrificing day 1 to 5. And we covered this in yesterday's live stream with Joe. Check that out if you haven't already. Fantastic stream. We answered all your questions for about 2 hours or so. And yeah, great guy, great information. And we covered a lot. So go check that out if you haven't yet. But yeah, your cost basis is the best. Again, if you're sacrificing stable coins over the first 5 days. So if you're sacrificing your stables, you have 8 hours left. Just so you know. Now, if you're sacrificing something that is moving in price, like Hex, for example, then you have to plot the ROI of Hex starting from day 1 of SAC against these bonding curves. And so when you actually put them against that and normalize this Hex ROI to your respective bonding curves, you get something like this. So keep in mind that this takes into account average price. So average price on any given day is not going to reflect the volatility of hourly wicks. For example, this 22-cent wick isn't calculated into this, which it's not calculated into this chart, which makes sense. Think about it. Like, if we're using a 30-minute time-weighted average price, then anything under like an hourly wick doesn't make sense to even plot. Now, I guess you could say, well, price was there for more than 30 minutes, more than an hour, so it should count, and I get it, but it's tricky, especially because, you know, sacrifice started at 4 UTC, and price ticks over at UTC, 0 UTC. And so there's kind of like this little 4-hour offset on this chart where that's pretty much it. It's a 4-hour offset. So it's not too big, considering you're using daily data. It's just like, what, 16% offset on the x-axis. If none of that made sense, don't worry about it. All you have to know is that you should probably, I think there was a great video made yesterday by Staked Wealth, I think is their YouTube. Fantastic commentary on this new table that actually shows you what your volume multiplier might be. And I think that just takes the median of something like pulselead.xyz, which shows you the leaderboard for let's actually pull that up real quick. It's pulselead.xyz. So $384 million sacrificed so far. And this is what I wanted to get at, is that if you take your median of, I don't think this shows all of them, it only shows top 5,000, but if you were to take your median of all addresses that sacrificed, let's say it's like 20,000, then the 10,000th place would be your 1.75x volume multiplier, I think. That's how that works. So basically, if you're a little guy, you really only care about the red curves. If you're a whale, you really only care about the pink curves. If you're a median guy, then you really only care about, you know, the greenish curves. So So we'll see. We'll see. This chart here, as you can tell, it's not filled in because it depends on the price of Hex itself. And so this is all speculation on the actual price of Hex if you're sacrificing it, right? You're pretty much, and I've said this before, you're pretty much you're pitting the Hex ROI versus your bonding curve and pretty much just betting on which one's going to win. So a lot of people are betting that Hex is going to outperform the bonding curve, where currently, I mean, it's been more or less the same, right? Hex has been more or less flat. The bonding curve has been more or less flat. It would be interesting to see it just kind of hug it and, I don't know, maybe 2x in the next 19 days. Wouldn't that be funny? That'd be pretty funny if Hex ROI pretty much hugged one of these bonding curves. Because then at that point, this here, your sacrifice power versus time would just be kind of flat. And so that would just be kind of, it would just be ironic because everyone's trying to speculate when the peak of Hex relative to the bonding curve is going to be and try to, maximize their USD value for sacrifice. So I just think it'd be ironic if it was pretty much the same across the board in terms of your Hex cost basis to sacrifice. So, I mean, these charts are live. You can check them out. LookIntoHex.com/PLS. And yeah, I don't think there's much else to add to this page, right? We have our time bonding curve, we have our cost basis, and our Hex ROI, and then our sort of Hex sacrifice power versus time. So at this point, like I was saying, it's really just speculation on the Hex price. The reason I'm calling this video PulseChain Eye of the Storm is because it's day 5 in, we're in day 5 and it ends in about 8 hours. So there's been speculation on, the price of Hex starting to pump later today. And we can kind of see that. We had a nice green candle going from about, 14.3 cents to about 17.3 cents earlier today, and currently at around 16.5 cents. So could you say the pump has started? Sure, but people are speculating a bigger move from whales that want to maximize their USD sacrifice value before the curve starts ramping up. So it's really, I've been calling this 8D chess because there are a lot of moving parts. There are incentives to suppress the price of Hex for a little bit and then maybe pump it up a little later. So if day 5 is as significant as a lot of people think, then we could be seeing fireworks as early as before the day ticks over. So within the next 8 hours, you might start seeing fireworks. Again, not financial advice. Your generic disclaimer for this video. I have no clue what's going to happen, but I could envision a scenario where this here bull flag looking formation breaks to the upside and just continues on, leaving impatient hands, so to speak, people who sacrificed early, leaving them behind and giving an advantage to those who are maybe further along when the price of Hex does, if it does pump, right? So we'll keep an eye on this, but I do like how this looks. This looks to me like a nice bull flag. I like the fact that this upper channel hasn't actually been broken. I like that a lot. The fact that we closed a candle above right here, closed the second one above it. This candle broke beneath it but didn't close beneath it. And then this subsequent candle broke above it. And I don't know, man. Resistance turned support. I could see it happening. And that would essentially mean, a further move from here. So assuming this is a short-term bull flag, we went from 8.5 cents to 22 cents. Right, that's a 13-cent move. So if it were to break from here, that could be looking at something closer to 30 cents, which would correspond to a 2x bubble above the upper channel, similar to December 31st of last year. So 30 cents incoming would be interesting, especially if by August 2nd we reached it, right? If we reached 30 cents by August 2nd, then more or less, assuming a steady increase, it would more or less correspond to what I was saying earlier, where your ROI would basically hug your bonding curve and leave this chart looking flat and pretty much leaving everyone kind of on a level playing field. That would be interesting to me. But obviously, I mean, I mean, these are exciting times, man. These are super exciting times. Like, I was watching some of the Richard Hart live streams earlier. Like, there's so much content he's been making these days, so it's kind of hard to catch up. I'm actually really behind on that. But just more of that talk on how stablecoins are going to work, their redeemability, the fact that Coinbase and Circle have admin keys for USTC. They can just invalidate them on the PulseChain, but then you start thinking, well, what if users sue them for simply just turning off their forked coins? And then you get into the whole how fractionally reserved can a stablecoin be and still hold its peg. So unprecedented historical events unfolding, and we're in the midst of it. I want you to recognize that, because it doesn't go over my head personally. Like, I know it's easy to normalize the amount of gains and the fact that we're in the best crypto and all of that, but at the end of the day, I don't know, man. I can only speak for myself, but I'm grateful, and I don't gloss over the fact that we're making history as we speak. Making history as we speak with a $400 million raise for an Ethereum fork, the full Ethereum tree, $20+ million donated to longevity research. Like, we're in the midst of history, which is why I call this video the Eye of the Storm. Not only are we in the midst of the PulseChain launch, but we have 8 hours left until this bonding curve starts ramping up. The website has been updated. I actually haven't had a chance to look at it, but I just noticed there's a nice, fantastic. We have our testimonial. Oh, I love it. I love it, man. Beauty, beauty. Yeah, most of this is already, isn't new. Most of this isn't new, but a lot of this is. So go ahead and go to PulseChain.com to see the new website updates. I love the timer. I definitely love the timer, and I love the graph, which kind of shows this vertical line of where we are on the time curve. Keep in mind, I think this curve is smoothed out, so even though it looks like the ramp has started, pretty sure it hasn't. I'm pretty sure it starts at the end of this, right? If you don't smooth out this curve, it would essentially just kind of blip up right here. So I don't think it's smooth from 16 hours ago to in 8 hours. I don't think it's a smooth ramp. Pretty sure it's, yeah, you even have your current rate per point per 10,000 points here. So it's still $1 per 10,000 points. But in 8 hours, it's going to jump up to about $1.05. So yeah, at that point, it's price of Hex versus the bonding curve. Can Hex increase 5% in a day? I think so. Can it outperform 5% in a day? Yeah, it has. So I think it can. And then at that point, again, the race is on. It's a bonding curve versus Hex ROI. We'll see. But yeah, guys, I mean, I don't want to take too much of your time. I do appreciate you watching the video. Check out the live stream Q&A with Joe I did yesterday. And there's not much more to say other than I hope you formulated your plan by now. I hope the LookIntoHex.com/PLS charts have been useful. I hope maybe the, that new table that Staked Wealth showed in his video yesterday, I hope that has been useful for you in formulating your plan. Because at the end of the day, I really do think it's just having a plan and sticking with it, which will leave you just at peace, right? Just kind of mentally like good. So you're not in fear of missing out. You're not feeling FOMO. You're not feeling regret, because all of that stuff can mess with you. I think just having a plan that's formulated to your own risk profile and the data itself is a smart thing to do, and then just execute on it kind of like a robot. So that's just my take on things. Obviously, consult with your own CPA, financial advisor, or just kind of come up with your own plan based on your own research and your own critical thinking. But yeah, I've rambled enough. You guys, appreciate you watching so much. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe, all that stuff, because we're killing it with the subs. We're almost at 4K, so just run it, send it. Let's hit 4K. And yeah, guys, let me know if you have any questions in the chat related to the PulseChain sacrifice, the bonding curves, the rates, all of that stuff. I'd be happy to answer. I respond to every single comment in the chat below, so definitely leave a comment if you have any questions, right? Closed mouths don't get fed. I heard that recently and I loved it. Just like, gotta speak up if you want some help. Gotta ask for it. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.